What horrors lie behind the cold stone walls of a noble's castle? Meet Elizabeth Bathory, the bloodthirsty countess whose gruesome crimes still haunt history centuries later. Elizabeth Bathory, often called the Blood Countess, is one of history's most infamous figures. A noblewoman whose name is forever linked to unspeakable cruelty. Born into wealth and power, she is accused of torturing and killing hundreds of young women in her castle, driven by a chilling obsession that defied imagination. In today's video, we'll dive deep into the dark secrets of her reign of terror, uncovering the horrific acts committed against her captives and exploring how such evil could hide behind aristocratic privilege. A noble birth and an illustrious lineage, Elizabeth Bathory entered the world during an era marked by political upheaval, religious conflict, and the delicate balancing act of power in Central Europe. The Kingdom of Hungary was a fragmented land, struggling to withstand the encroaching threat of the Ottoman Empire, while simultaneously navigating the internal fractures caused by the Reformation and the shifting alliances of European nobility. Born on August 7, 1560, in Bathory, within the eastern reaches of the kingdom, Elizabeth was the daughter of Baron George VI Bathory and Anna Bathory, herself a member of a powerful noble branch. The Bathory family was no ordinary noble house. Its members included kings, princes, and military leaders who had played significant roles in shaping the politics of Hungary, Transylvania, and Poland. The family's influence extended far beyond their vast estates, and their connections spanned royal courts and church hierarchies. Elizabeth's uncle, Stephen Bathory, was not only the Prince of Transylvania, but also became the King of Poland, a testament to the family's considerable prestige. From an early age, Elizabeth was immersed in a world of privilege and expectation. As the eldest surviving child, she was groomed for a life that would maintain or enhance the family's stature through strategic marriage, political alliance, and perhaps even patronage of the arts and religion. Her upbringing was far from ordinary. She received an education befitting a noblewoman of her rank, becoming fluent in several languages, including Latin, Hungarian, and German. This linguistic ability was essential for navigating the complex political landscape of Central Europe, where diplomacy and correspondence required finesse and knowledge. Elizabeth was also trained in the skills expected of an aristocratic lady, managing vast estates, understanding legal and financial matters, and overseeing servants and tenants. It was a life marked by luxury, power, and responsibility, but also by strict societal codes governing behavior, gender roles, and loyalty to family and crown, marriage, power, and the isolation of nobility. At the age of 15, Elizabeth was married to Ferenc Nedesty, a Hungarian nobleman and soldier known as the Black Knight. Their union was as much a political alliance as a personal relationship, designed to consolidate lands, wealth, and influence in the volatile borderlands of Hungary and Austria. Ferenc was a formidable figure, known for his military prowess and stern character, often away at war defending the kingdom against Ottoman incursions. This left Elizabeth managing their extensive properties and estates largely on her own, including the remote Chete Castle, located in what is today Slovakia. The castle itself was a fortress as well as a home, a stark, imposing structure built to defend against both human enemies and the wildness of the surrounding forests. It was here, in the isolation of the castle's stone walls and shadowed chambers, that the darker chapters of Elizabeth's life began to unfold. The Countess wielded immense local power. She was responsible for justice, administration, and the well-being of those who lived on her lands. But it was also a place of secrecy, rumors, and fear. The isolation of noble life, combined with the weight of responsibility and the absence of her husband for long stretches, contributed to the development of Elisabeth's notorious reputation. Historical records indicate that she was a strict, often cruel mistress to her servants and tenants. Over time, whispers of unspeakable acts began to spread among the local population, tales that would grow in the telling and ultimately engulf her name in infamy. The dark legend of Elisabeth Bathory, the stories that have come down to us, paint a chilling portrait of a woman who went beyond the boundaries of cruelty into the realm of monstrous violence. Elisabeth Bathory is often labeled as one of history's earliest known female serial killers, accused of torturing and murdering hundreds of young women over many years. The motivations attributed to her are as dark as the crimes themselves. Some legends suggest a macabre obsession with youth and beauty, claiming that she bathed in the blood of virgins to preserve her own youthful appearance. Others describe her as a sadistic aristocrat who took pleasure in inflicting pain and asserting power over the helpless. What makes the legend particularly terrifying is the alleged extent of her crimes. Victims were reportedly abducted from peasant villages, servants' quarters, or orphanages and brought to Szejsté Castle, where they faced unimaginable torture, beatings, starvation, burning, mutilation, and worse. The surviving testimonies from the time, drawn from the trials and investigations that followed, describe horrific acts meant to break the body and spirit of these young women. Historians debate the veracity of many of these claims, questioning whether the accusations were exaggerated, politically motivated, or fueled by a misogynistic culture eager to demonize a powerful woman. Some scholars argue that Elisabeth's enemies, seeking to seize her wealth and lands, orchestrated a campaign of slander and false charges. The trial and imprisonment. The turning point came in 1610 when Elisabeth Bathory was arrested following an extensive investigation triggered by complaints and testimonies from survivors and witnesses. Under pressure from King Matthias II, who feared the unrest her actions were causing, a special commission was formed to examine the allegations. The trial was extraordinary in both scope and the number of witnesses involved. Hundreds testified against her, including servants, nobles, and townspeople. Despite her noble status, Elisabeth was never given a formal trial in the traditional sense. Due to her rank, she was imprisoned in her own castle rather than being executed, a fate that was nonetheless harsh. She was confined to a set of rooms and left to languish until her death in 1614 at the age of 54. Her husband, Ferenc Nadasti, had died years earlier, and without his protection, her political support crumbled. The confiscation of her lands and the erasure of her name from public memory were the final acts in a tragedy that blended myth, politics, and history. Legacy, myth, history, and the making of a monster. The legacy of Elisabeth Bathory remains a subject of fascination, horror, and debate. Over centuries, her story has been told and retold, growing in mythic proportion. She has been dubbed the Blood Countess, the Bloody Lady of Szejsté, and even compared to Dracula for her alleged thirst for blood and the supernatural elements woven into her legend. Modern historians strive to separate fact from fiction, examining court records, contemporary accounts, and social context to understand the truth behind the myth. Was she truly a sadistic killer, or was she a scapegoat in a patriarchal society eager to punish a woman who wielded power independently? Did her crimes, if they occurred, reflect personal pathology or the brutal realities of a feudal system that allowed nobles unchecked control over their subjects? What remains undeniable is that Elizabeth Bathory's story reveals the dark intersections of power, gender, and violence. The Countess of Cruelty, or a victim of history. Elizabeth Bathory's life and legacy challenge us to reflect on the nature of cruelty and power and on the complexities behind historical narratives. Was she a monstrous villain or a tragic figure caught in the ruthless machinations of noble politics? The answer may lie somewhere in between. Her name endures as a symbol of horror and fascination, a reminder of how history can produce legends as terrifying as any fiction. Whether history condemns her for actual deeds or legend condemns her for imagined ones, Elizabeth Bathory remains one of the most enigmatic and chilling figures of European history.